Hello and welcome to the Creative Academy's Blue Pencil session. This is where we take a look at your pages and we offer you some feedback. I'm Eileen Cook and I'm here today with my fine colleagues, both Crystal and Donna. And we are very excited because we are taking a peek at Elissa's pages. If you haven't before, you might want to take a look in the Blue Pencil section. We've taken a few other scenes. So this is nice for us because we have sort of a sense of the story, a continuation. And in fact, what we have today is a battle scene. So just so for people to know, we have the two sisters, Scythia and Zarina, and they are escaping along with some colleagues, and they have to rush the bad guy. They're going to rush him and have a fight scene, and those are the pages that we have. So I'm going to jump in and talk first about what I think is working really well, and then we have some suggestions for areas where you might be able to tighten it. So first off, just in terms of an action scene, for people to take a look at this, I think what they would see is that it's really well done in terms of understanding where people are. So there are a lot of people in this scene. We actually have Scythia, her sister, the two people that they're escaping with, plus we have a cohort of bad guys. And that's a lot of people to be moving around in a few pages. And on the whole, almost 100% of the time, I had a really clear sense of where everybody was and how they were interacting. My only time where I needed just maybe a beat more is right after they drive their donkey cart into the bad guys to sort of scatter them. Scythia sort of bounces up and is like, is everybody okay? And everyone's sort of scrambling to their feet. I didn't have a sense of how far back the bad guys got blown away. So my concern was that she was asking people if they were okay when someone was going to be running at them with a sword. So maybe just even a line more there about, that they had scattered or that they had been tossed away by this kind of thing. So we had a little bit more of a clear sense. But now for big picture stuff, I'm going to take us over to Crystal because you had a suggestion.
Yeah, so one of the things I think that was a real strength of the other pieces we've read is the sort of emotional intensity and how we're right inside the girls' heads and, we really feel what the characters are feeling. And as Eileen said, the fight scene is very well choreographed, but we're kind of pulled back in terms of point of view, and it feels a little bit more like we're outside observers watching it happen rather than inside the heart of our main character in the scene. So it would be really nice to just dive a little bit deeper into the point of view and really be able to feel what Scythia is feeling, because I believe she's the point of view character here. So yeah, if you can find a way to give us a little bit more of her reactions to things or emotions to things, or if it's so busy and so fast that she isn't processing emotions. Like I love that line where his brains are making a weird squidging sound.
Strange slurping
sound. Which I really love that line. But like, it's interesting how she is reacting or not reacting to that. Like, is she now so inured to violence that she doesn't even process that that's a gross, disgusting thing? Or does she feel sick but knows she has to push through? Or like, how does that impact her, right? She's taken a life in a pretty graphic way. So what's that doing? Because that tells us a lot about her and where she's at in her character journey as well. So yeah, just punching it back up. You got to make Donna either cry or, feel real sick. That's kind of your goal with these,
And I think it's useful, like you are in Scythia's point of view, because when this came up, we kind of went back through and we looked at it, but it just felt more distant. And I know you want to keep the pacing in this scene. So it is going to be a little bit of back and forth where you're probably going to add some in, and then we would come back and tell you, nope, too much, split your pacing. And then you're going to, take some out and we'll be like, nope, too much, a little bit more. So there probably will be a little bit of back and forth. One thing that will help with pacing with that is remember that their thoughts don't always have to come as full, complete sentences. So it might just be like, Zagaris, exclamation point. She spun around. She caught a sight of her sister spinning out of someone's control. Salt in her eyes from the sweat. Just very staccato kinds of things will help you keep that sort of sense of fast pace going. Mm-hmm. And Donna, you had a couple of particular things that you could sort of point out on sort of the tiny scale, which I think will also help.
Yeah, I did, and now I'm not seeing my highlights. So yeah, it didn't make me cry. And okay, I know it's a fight scene and nobody's dead. So that's a good thing that I
people are
wasn't
dead.
crying. People are dead, but we don't care about them. They're the bad guys are dead, and that's good. But I didn't connect to Sagaris and the way that I have been, and or Zarina in the way that I have been in pretty well every other scene. And I think in part it's because this is an action scene, and just like Eileen and Crystal both took everything I was going to say, you know, we're not in the emotion, and I would love to see a little bit more. So there was one place where Sagaris is basically complimenting Zarina. How did she learn to do that? It's a thought that she has in her head. How did she learn to do that? And so we've known that she hasn't had faith in her sister. She hasn't trusted her sister's decisions, hasn't trusted her sister with giving her things to do. And clearly, this is a new Sagaris. So I wanted to have a little bit more feeling from Sagaris, like, you know, I don't know what it is. Does she have just a flash of feeling bad that it's taken her all of this time to, you know, have that appreciation for her sister's skills? Or is it all around just like, oh my God, my sister is the coolest person on the planet? Something that'll get me back into Sagaris. A couple of tiny little things. There's a repetition of this, and I love this little scene. Sagaris snapped forward, cracking the pick into his skull. He collapsed, a stunned expression on his face. Sheila yanked the axe out of his skull. His brain made a strange slurping sound. That's something I think could be tightened a little bit. And even if it was just she yanked the axe out of his brain, which made a strange slurping sound. And then actually we're hearing that the slurping sound is coming from the action, right? I think little thing like that. There were tiny little things, but so, yeah, like, you know how sometimes when you're reading and you try to picture the scene, you're like, well, how does that arm go there? Well, there was none of that in this scene. So that was I was pleased. Anyway,
Yeah.
but yeah.
I'm going to point to one more of those kind of tiny micro cuts that Donna mentioned, because I think it is the kind of thing that can just tighten things really well. There's the line where her sister yells out, "Saga, roll right," Zarina ordered. Sagaris complied without thought, rolling to the right. I would take out the rolling to the right.
Yeah.
Sagaris, roll right, Zarina ordered. Sagaris complied without thought. I'm going to assume that she's done what her sister, like, if what would be interesting is if Sagaris rolled to the left, because it would be like, oh, I don't trust my sister if she says she never knew right from left without a guideline.
There's one more, I have that one highlighted, and if we're going to go to this minutia, then there's one other place, which is the spear gave her more reach, but he could see her strikes coming in time to react defensively. Sagaris gnashed her teeth. She didn't have time for this. She had to get back to Zarina's side. I don't think we need she didn't have time for this. I'd take that back out. Sagaris gnashed her teeth. She had to get back to Zarina's side. Like, that feels more like
I think we feel the frustration. And I think that's a good example of a place where you do have a little bit of that deeper point of view, the gnashing of her teeth, and it feels that frustration. She has to get back to her sister's side. And there's that calm down, rushing won't help her if you get yourself killed. Like, I think there's some great things there. And in final comment, I would say you questioned whether or not we would feel the sisters were trusting each other more. And I do think that comes through. We see them working as a unit in this scene to defeat the bad guy. And I think that worked particularly well. Like, they have a trust of, you do this, I'll do this, I'll come back and help you with this other thing. So.
And I realize that what I've asked you to do is, you know, she's now, Sagaris has outgrown what I've been saying, like that internal mistrust and stuff. But there's something else that anyway, I'm going to stop talking.
We're going to make Donna keep talking and see what she comes up with. But I would say you're definitely on the right track. And I think now it's going to be the fine tuning stuff where you're looking for those micro cuts and you're looking for where you can just let that extra emotion and that slightly deeper point of view really comes through. But otherwise, excellent job. And for anyone else, we could be reading your pages. So all you have to do is submit them to the Blue Pencil section. And until then, we'll see you around the Academy. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.